What's up? Welcome back to JK Fishing. Today we got a special video for you guys. We're going to be showing you guys how to make this delicious smoked salmon on our offset charcoal smoker. So if you guys want to learn how to, stay tuned, keep watching, and make sure to hit that subscribe button.
Hey guys, before we get into preparation of the salmon for smoking, I just want to talk a little bit about how we preserve the salmon through the winter months in our deep freezer. We actually use a food saver vacuum seal system here. It has a moist setting on it, lets us suck all the air out of the bag and freeze these salmon fillets that we've got, and it really makes it great for eating throughout the winter. Otherwise, we get a lot of freezer burn on the fish if we put it in normal Ziploc bags. This product, there will be a link in the description below if you want to look at something similar to this and purchase a similar device. You can also see a link below for replacement bags. We buy these rolls, which are about 50 feet long, and they handle a lot of fish throughout the summer for us and let us freeze it and preserve it for the winter so that we can enjoy that fish year round. So guys, what you'll notice here, the way that we've packaged up our fish, we actually keep the skin on the side of the salmon fillets. The reason we do that is because I think it just protects the salmon a little bit from the harshness of the freezer and the cold, and avoids any potential freezer damage to that side of the fish. We'll actually smoke it with the skin on this time. When we get it out of the package, we're going to actually remove all the pin bones. There's another link to a video that shows you how to do that in the description below.
So guys, we got the fillet out of the vacuum sealer pack, and we have removed all the pin bones, keeping the fish in one piece without having to cut them out. And just what we're going to do to make it more manageable and easier to smoke and cook all the way through is we're just going to cut it into smaller pieces, so we're not left with one huge fillet. And we'll just set it aside in this container for now. By cutting it into smaller pieces like this, it makes for a much more even smoke, while also reducing the time, because the heat can get to it from multiple sides, cooking it quicker. All right, now that we got our salmon all cut up like this, we're gonna throw it in some, we're gonna throw the brine on it, which what it's gonna do is gonna suck out all the moisture and prepare it for the smoker. So now that our fish is prepared, we have to brine it before we smoke it. So we like to do this the night before so that it'll sit overnight in the brine. And what the brine does is it absorbs all of the water from the fish, drying it out, making it a little more firm and more suitable to smoking. So we're just going to place some of our fillets in this container. These containers are awesome because they make for easy storage in the fridge. And first off, we're just going to cover them with a layer of salt. And then we are going to cover them with some brown sugar. The brown sugar is key because what it does is it absorbs all of the moisture from the fish, which you guys will see in a second. It kind of turns into almost like a syrup, which is what you want to see, meaning that the water inside the fish is being sucked out. You want to make sure that you cover all sides of exposed meat with this. Just be generous because the sugar itself isn't being absorbed into the fish, so you don't have to worry about it being too unhealthy. So a lot of times when you smoke fish, if you don't brine it, you'll notice that it falls apart a lot easier. So by doing this, it stays together in one piece and also will absorb a little bit of the flavor as well. And just make for a better smoking. So the salmon is completely covered in brine. As I mentioned before, make sure you're generous because all of this will end up disintegrating, turning into syrup. You can already see the process happening around the outside there. That's what you're going to be left with after this is done sitting in the fridge. And your fillets will be ready to go. So we're just gonna pop the lid on and throw it in the fridge, and we'll see you tomorrow morning at the smoker. So guys, it's the next morning. We've had our fish sitting in the brine overnight in the fridge, and if you take a look, you'll notice that the sugar has drawn out most of the water, if not all the water from the fish, turning into like a syrupy residue. That's what you want to see. That means the sugar's done its job. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to rinse these off with cold water. So what we're doing now, we're just placing the salmon fillets after rinsing them off on our wire rack, and we're gonna leave this out on the counter at room temperature for a couple hours. The goal is to get a thin sticky film called pellicule on the outside of the salmon fillets, which helps the smoky flavor essentially stick to it better and it retains a taste. Well guys, the fish is done brining. We've had it sitting out for 2 or 3 hours or so, and we're ready to put the dry rub on it. I'm going with a very simple only a couple spices, keeping it very simple because you really want the smoky flavor to really be the main part of the taste of the fish. So all I'm doing, just gonna put a little bit of salt on all of these. Some black pepper. So what these spices are going to do, it's going to add a little bit of flavor while not taking away from the sweet and smoky flavor of the fish. And it's going to really just tie it all together. And then a little bit of paprika. Slight dusting. You can really overdo it with the paprika. So as a rule of thumb, I try to go as light as you can possibly go without while still maintaining the taste of it. That's all I'm going to put on this. We will see you guys outside with the smoker. We're going to show you how we set it up, get the fire started, and how we smoke the fish. So let's get to it.
Hey guys, now that we got the fish prepared inside and almost ready to smoke, I'm just going to walk you through a little bit about what our setup looks like for the smoking process here. So we went for an offset charcoal or wood smoker versus a pellet smoker because we really wanted that authentic smoky flavor. You can get these relatively inexpensively at Home Depot or Princess Auto or wherever you shop. A lot of places will carry these. What else I wanted to point out that we got here today is we have a temperature sensor. This actually is going to measure the temperature inside the smoker so we can get very, very precise. And we actually have a wireless reader as well that will tell us if the temperature gets too high or too low at any point, or when our meat, or in this case, our salmon gets to the right temperature and is finished. So we have one probe inside and one will be stuck inside a piece of the meat. What we're going to be smoking with today is cherry wood. We really love the flavor we get with the salmon from the cherry wood. This has been recently dried out over the past 6 months or so and should give us the authentic smoky flavor that we want. So as you can see guys, we've got our, in this case, a Weber charcoal chimney fire starter here. We've filled it up about 3/4 with charcoal. We're going to use that as the base to get our fire going for the smoking process. These things are great. I highly recommend you get one if you're going to be using charcoal to start your fire. And then we'll get some wood on top. All right, let's get this charcoal going. See how nicely that charcoal started up. Move this off to the side. Now what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to just let this charcoal go a little while. What we like to do with our wood is get the wood nice and warm so it catches on nicely. If you put on cold wood, it's going to start to smoke a lot more than what we want, like white smoke. And so we want to warm up the wood so that it catches on fire real quick right away. So I'm just going to put a couple pieces in here. A couple pieces to get us started. We're going to close this up and let that warm up inside, and then we'll put the wood on the charcoal and get it going. Okay, guys, our fire started nicely. We got the cherry wood going on top of the charcoal. So it's getting a lot warmer now. We're going to get this closed up so that the smoke starts to flow. Now, one interesting thing, guys, is that we're here in the middle of February here in Canada, and it's such a nice day. It's going to be a little bit hard to manage the temperature because it is just maybe 5 degrees above freezing, almost 10 Fahrenheit over. So we're going to have to stay on top of this and keep an eye on it throughout the smoking process, make sure it doesn't get too low. What we're looking for here, guys, is to have a nice clear smoke like this that's coming through. You can see it's coming. We don't want to have white smoke. That's the whole point of us warming up the wood before we put it on. We're going for a temperature here around 200 to 220 degrees Fahrenheit. As you can see, our alarm's telling us that we're over 230 right now, which is great. We can take this inside when we don't have to stand here the whole time. So what I do to try and bring down the temperature sometimes is I actually prop open the lid just a little bit like this using another piece of wood. That allows a little bit more cold air and then some of the hot heat to come out this way. I don't find that the little vent they have on the side is good enough for that. So this helps to regulate. We can open it more or less, however we need, and we still get the smoke flowing through to the chimney and over the meat. So we're gonna get going, putting the meat on here. Like I said, it's a little bit high, but by the time we're done here, we'll start to tweak the temperature the way that we need to. So what we're gonna do is just take these pieces of meat, and we're going to spread them out across the whole grill. I don't want to put them too close to the flame because that's where it's getting really hot. I'm going to keep them a little further away, and then we're going to put the probe inside one of these pieces of meat, and that's going to help us to know when it's ready for us to eat. So this temperature thermometer here that we have, it actually gives us two probes. One probe, as you can see, I've got here in the barbecue or in the smoker, so we can tell the exact temperature there. And the other one we're going to stick in a piece of meat, and it'll give us two separate readings. Now, one other thing that we mentioned earlier, we kept the skin on this salmon. One of the main reasons that we decide to keep the skin on when we smoke it here is we like to keep the meat together. It starts to flake and fall apart a little bit when we don't keep the skin on. Some people take it off. We're going to try to keep it on this time and see how it turns out. So we'll see you in a bit. Where we are measuring the temperature is one of the further away pieces of meat here. It's an internal temp of 116. We're going for about 135 or 140 internal temperature. But what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to move some of this meat around so that we get a bit of a better distribution on the heat. Okay, so our salmon's now at an internal temperature of 139. We're aiming for about 135 to 140, so it's just about perfect. What we're going to do, though, just before we take it off, is we're going to let it smoke for maybe 5 or 10 more minutes. Try not to get the temperature over 140 internally, but what we want to do is add a little bit of honey to it. So this adds to the flavor of the salmon a little bit, gives a bit more sweetness. You're going to see we're just going to brush it on the top of each piece here, nice and easily. It's kind of cold out here, so this is very tacky and sticky, this honey. As it warms up on the salmon, it'll start to liquefy a bit and get absorbed into the meat. So this, we'll just add to the flavor a bit. We like a little bit of sweetness on this salmon. And it's dried out a little bit on the outside. This will be super tasty.
Well, guys, we let the salmon sit with the honey on it for a little bit of time, so salmon looks about ready. We're going to go ahead and take that off, and before we eat it, we're going to let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes just so that the juices calm down a little bit. But anyways, that's how you guys make smoked salmon. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something, And if you're not already subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we're looking to get out on the water soon with the boat as spring comes around and looking to deliver you guys more quality content. We'll see you next time.